And he was so reluctant because of probably the crime and whatever. And I said, give me 1 month to find a job, and if I couldn't, then bring me home.
Hey. Welcome to another Gravel on the Ground. I hope that you will be inspired by this message, especially all of you younger Filipinos out there who think, hey, it's just too hard. I can't make it. There are so many things between me and the success that I want. So I like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. This is a longer interview, but there are so many things in it that I really hope that you get out of it. So I will see you at the end.
Okay. So where do we start? Do we start
Where do we start?
Do we start on how I started moving here in Manila? Because majority of the people that actually like in Manila are based from the province. I guess higher rates. That's why we moved here. I first started working at the age of 18. So I remember pretty well, my father was crying and he said, I couldn't send you to college anymore. And I just looked at him and said, okay, can you send me to Manila? And he was like, but you don't know anyone or anything. And I said I'll be fine, I'll find a job. And he was so reluctant because of probably the crime and whatever. And I said, give me 1 month to find a job, and if I couldn't, then bring me home. And luckily, on my first month, I was able to land a call center agent position. Back then, this is when it's booming, so this is back 2011. So it's a very long time, and I was able to work for that role for 4 years. It's a very low paying job, but for me, I sent probably 60% of my income so I could support my sick father and also my siblings going to college. Because my goal back then is I need to cut the support for an entire life kind of support, as it's becoming not even a trend, but that's the usual in the Philippines, that you always give money to your family members, like sister who needs for her family or your parents and all that. And I wanted to cut that. I want them to be sustainable. For me, I know for myself that I'm very ambitious. And so I said, even if I hold back on studying for a couple of years, I know I will still have the guts inside me that I would want to continue studying. But for my brother or my sister, they might lose the interest. So I focus on them. And after both of them have finished college, that's when I started, I can finally do what makes me happy. And I just search all over internet, what's the highest paying job that I didn't need to go to the office. And here comes freelancing positions like virtual assistant, and that's how I started. I started being a virtual assistant. That was 8 years ago, and my salary was $400 a month. That's how I started, and 2 years later, I left and then started with a tech recruiting company. This was a funny story actually, because back then I came from a very bad relationship and I was healing and everything. And as part of healing, I traveled to Vietnam. And I love Vietnam so much that I keep on coming back until my bank account is emptied.
I know that feeling.
So my bank account was emptied, but thanks to the traveling experience, it gave me a new perspective. Because back then, when I was in Vietnam, I saw this Airbnb experience. Not the Airbnb stay, but the Airbnb experience. And it says Speak Easy tour. And they charge a lot. And of course, my thinking was that, well, when I get back to Manila, I don't know how long till I get a new job, but maybe this is for me. Maybe back then, before I traveled, I was very shy, but now that I have accustomed to communicating with expats, then maybe I can try. So I did a little bit of research on this experience, and no one is running a speakeasy tour in the Philippines. So I listed Airbnb
Right.
experience.
Can you explain to us what do you mean by that?
So Airbnb experience, it's more on like you book an entire experience. So they have a lot like market tours, cooking classes, and all that sort of stuff. Speakeasy tour is focused on the hidden bars that you won't find, not unless you have the code or someone told you about
I know
it.
where we're going.
Yeah. So
That sounds really cool.
yeah, so I run this Airbnb experience, and my first client was so cool. He came from like tech industry or something, and even gave me $100 like bonus on my first night, and I was so happy. And I said like, this is my new career and whatsoever. But then here comes the drinking because it's a speakeasy tour, and I was like, do I want to be drinking every night?
Right.
But I said, but I didn't have any jobs, so I have to continue this experience. Right. So third person booked the Airbnb experience, and this lady said she wanted to book for 8 people, but was asking if I could give a little bit of discount. And I said like, oh, could we discuss this to a different platform, because I don't want my Airbnb to have this sort of stuff because it's not allowed. And so my boss gave her website with the contact information, and we shared over email about the rates that she'll be getting from me. And then as a joke, I said like, you know that you shouldn't be doing this, like. And she was like, what do you mean? I said like, you run a company and you spend 2 hours negotiating with me, wherein you could have focused your time to something more beneficial. And you should get a virtual assistant, I said. And later to find out, she already have a team in the Philippines, tech recruiters, but virtual assistant has never come into her mind. So she said, oh, do you know anyone? And I said like, yes, myself. And then she said like 3 days, let's book a call 3 days from now because I'm visiting something. I said okay. And then as soon as we were on the phone call, she said like, so when can you start? And I'm like, you're not going to interview me? And she said like, you sold your position. I'm not gonna look for anyone. And I started working for her. It was $4 an hour when I first started. Actually, she gave me the $4 an hour. I was even asking for $3 an hour because I thought that's a lot already in Philippine perspective. And she was like, no, I wanted to pay you fair. And so
hold on just a second. I want everybody to know what is. Now I've been told from my friend Jeeve. I'll put a picture of Jeeve. Awesome. Yeah. He said that people make between $10 and $20 a day.
Yes.
Is that about correct?
Yes. So that's the reason why $3 an hour, I was already like, oh my God, like I was so excited because I got from $400 a month. So she said like, no, $4 would be good. And then she said, but you're joining the team, like team event already when I get there. So I was able to actually meet my boss. Mm-hmm. So I worked for her for 4 years. And this boss of mine, I am very grateful, not only that I did grow a lot, like when it comes to the corporate industry, but also on a personal perspective about things, because I was the executive assistant in a sense, and you didn't have to like ask her for a raise. She valued working hard people like so much that she would constantly give me like a raise from time to time until I reached a level wherein from $4 I managed to hike up into $20. I remember I was the cheapest paid like employee in the company, and I became like one of the head on the company like at our peak time. And back then, a lot, I guess, we're so used to when they make good money, they also up their lifestyle. Mm-hmm. up my lifestyle on a sense that I buy the luxurious bag, because there's no point for me of like carrying a luxurious bag. Who am I pretending? Who's going to notice it, knowing that I'm also just hanging out with normal people? So there's no point for other people who likes their luxury items. That's their perspective, but for mine, I have a different perspective. So what I did is that I follow where the money is. Back then, I was living in Parañaque, which is very close to the airport, but there's nothing in there. I couldn't talk to anyone like on an interesting level about business or stuff like that. Where is the business?
Okay, so Parañaque. So you know where all those big hotels are?
Yeah.
And the casinos, right?
Yeah.
Is that
No,
Parañaque?
yes, that's Parañaque, but I live like 20 minutes drive away from it. Not only that it was so traffic, but majority, this where all locals would live. And for me, I wanted to learn more. I wanted to, because I was an avid traveler, I wanted to see more. I think the people, your network is your net worth. I always believe in that.
Right.
So
Yes.
back then, even if I know the half of my salary, because that was middle of my work, so I was only getting paid like $10 or $12 an hour back then. But I said like, no, I need to gamble this. I want more, so I need to gamble. So I said, I'm moving to BGC, even if half of my salary would go there. Not because I up my lifestyle, but I wanted to learn more. I wanted to experience more. Because you won't be able to dream what you don't see, don't we? So me living here, I was like, it's always, every morning you see like people were just happy, like on the building. There's difference between people you see outside who were workers compared to people who live around the area. The vibe was so different. They were just like calm and collected, as if like there's something. It was just so magical for me. So I stick into BGC and I saw the potential of Airbnb business, and so that's where I started my business.
So would you say like belief is so important, and you're meant what you think? You know, they say what you think is what you get.
Yeah.
This has been 100% true for me.
Yes.
So, you know, people call it the law of attraction, call it
Yeah.
But whatever you're thinking about most of the time is what you're going to end up getting.
Yes.
I've seen that over and over.
Yes, actually, it sounds magical, but because you like it so much that you would push yourself to get it. Like I remember pretty well, this is where I live now, but when I first started, I was across
Oh my gosh.
I was across the street, so it was half the price difference, right? But I remember I was sitting with my friend at the one of the bars downstairs, and I was looking at this building, and I said, I am manifesting. I'm moving to that building in 3 months' time, and not even 3 months' time, and it was actually by accident because I was finishing my contract there, and my friend says like, "Oh, I want to visit a unit across the street. Could you go with me?" And she said like, she said, because I want to get it. Okay, went with her. I fell in love with the place. She didn't. So it ended up me getting and signing up a contract here, and that's how I started. But I do believe in manifestation. I don't know how to explain it really. You could be working hard, but it's some kind of like a magical thing that happens. Like you just attract positivity if you're positive, but if you're always like complaining about how hard it is and stuff, you always just get the bad vibes, the bad juju.
It's what you're thinking about.
Yeah,
It absolutely comes true. And one of the reasons why I really wanted to do this interview is because I have spoken to quite a few people that live here, and I feel that like they just don't feel like they can achieve.
Yeah.
But I'm hearing from their voice and what they're saying that they feel stuck.
Yes.
But I want them to be inspired, and I try to inspire them as well.
Yeah.
But it comes different from somebody who is from here.
Yeah.
Right? It's
yeah,
easy
yeah.
to say, oh,
Yes.
the American,
Yes,
you know,
yes,
even
of
though
course.
I've lived in a car myself,
Yeah.
and I've been homeless, and I've eaten food out of a trash can. I mean, people wouldn't believe that. But I've also had the best jobs and done the best things and made more money than I could spend.
Yeah.
You know, but it was all mental.
Yes.
And I was not afraid to start from zero.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
start over again. In fact, I could lose everything tomorrow.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't take me very long before I'd be back where I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because I have that belief and I'm willing to do what it takes to bring me back to that for whatever it is I want. Whatever. Right?
Yes.
It's not always money. It's not
Yes.
always stuff. It's not
Exactly.
always, it could just be a mental state. But I think the inspiration is very important. And I met with a friend the other day and was teaching him how to make videos because this is what he wants to do.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm teaching him all of these things and the basics, but really it just came back to believing that you can do it and then obsessing, right? And it sounds like to me, every step along the way, you became obsessed about something.
Yes, like really, because can you imagine? I couldn't even imagine actually. Every time I wake up in the morning, I would like do this because like, how am I living with the place I am living now, knowing that I started from paying like 2,000, no, not even 2,000, I think like 1,500 pesos a month a room with my workmate. And I remember we don't have a bed, like we have just the foam mattress, and then we sleep there together. There's 2 or 3 of us in the room. I call them now my siblings from a different mother because like the experience was that. And to get you a visualization on how the place looks like, it was made out of like wood, and then right next to your window is your neighbor's roof. So can you imagine how hot it is in daytime? The worst part is that we're all call center agent working US hours, so we sleep at daytime, and it was so hot. No air cons. We can only rely on a fan and a small fan, and we had to share, the 3 of us. That's how I started, and yeah.
But weren't some of the best times of your life during these times? I mean, this is for me.
Yeah.
Some of like the time when I had nothing, some of the best times of my whole life.
Yes.
That journey, the
Yes.
journey from going from zero to where you are now.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. I think I was asked just a week ago by a friend, and he said, you had all this tough experience. Would you erase anything? And I said, no, not at all. I know that it was a hard time, but I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't had this experience. And it was a fun experience. Like, yes, I cried a lot, of course, because life was so difficult. But looking it back now, you are more grateful to what you have. You're more protective to what you have. But majority of the time, I think if you're grateful, everything just follows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard though sometimes to be grateful because you achieve and then you forget.
Yeah.
And so you almost have to lose everything sometimes to remind yourself
Yes.
of how great you had it.
Yeah. I
This
think
is true with the relationships and all
everything.
kinds of
Like,
things.
yeah, I think like you just have to stay grounded.
It's all about the journey, in my opinion, and I guess that's why I love travel because it's always a journey.
Yeah, and to be fair, like I love us Filipinos, the very caring. I think the only thing that would be missing would be the courage that you can also do things. And as I said, if you've never seen it before, you don't know what you're trying to dream of or what your goal is because you've not seen. I think I was just lucky that I was able to travel outside of the Philippines a couple of times, that I got a different perspective, and so that has changed my life completely. That's where it started.
It's weird. I feel the same exact way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never wanted to leave my hometown when I was little. But then I was forced to, and it just completely changed my entire life. So it's very interesting how travel works. But then a lot of people at home are probably thinking, like, how do I travel? I have nothing.
Yeah.
You know, what would you say for those people that are like, you know, out in the middle of a province and they're saying, well, it's easy for you to say travel, but what should I do? Where do I start?
I think a lot of like Filipinos, like for example, I use call center agents as an example, because back then I was a call center agent, and because I was so stressed with work that I always wanted to go out and use whatever income that I have as an outlet to let go of those frustration or stress. So you ended up living paycheck to paycheck. But if you can only do at least like try to save a little bit until you have like 3 or 4 months emergency fund, and that will take out a lot of the pressure from you. That's where you start that like, okay, I'm not happy with this job anymore. I want to grow more. I have the emergency savings. Maybe I can explore a different opportunity. A lot of people were stuck because they don't have the chance to explore. They don't have, the stepping stone. Yeah.
Just that little bit of buffer.
Yeah, 3 or 4
there.
months could go a long way because
and it'll take you a while. It's not like it, you know.
Yeah.
But then if you have the right attitude, I'm telling you, I know you don't believe this, but you will just be working, and then all of a sudden something will happen. And somebody will come along and say, "Hey, wait, I need a personal assistant." You know, you may just think, and
exactly.
then they say, "Oh, you know, no, I'll give you $4 an hour." If your thinking is right, this will happen to you, and I think your story is perfect for that. And I'm glad. I hope at least one person out there, you know, can hear this and just, you know, it will change your life.
I think it seems impossible, and even to my sister sometimes, when she get asked like, oh, so what does your sister do? And my sister could just say like, oh, she was an assistant before, and she was like, but she makes this kind of money? Is she a scammer? Those are the things that she gets asked a lot. But yeah, I think if you put your mind into it, a little bit of hard work, you couldn't just say like, oh, I want to be this, but I don't have time, or I wanted to be this and try it for only a couple of weeks. The life that I have now, it wasn't like 1 or 2 years of hard work. That was a decade of hard work, and I still get judged about me having a foreign partner that pays my apartment,
which you don't, right?
Yeah, right. Yes, that's true. Or else, what else? That I have, a politician that's paying for my bills and stuff like that. A lot of Filipinos doesn't have, like, I think the idea how much you can earn now, because we are now global. There's a lot of remote works. There's social media you can make money off, and people were still stuck to normal office hours and normal paying jobs.
You don't know your value. I think that's the bottom line. Is you don't value yourself where you actually are, because on the world stage you're hardworking people. You're pleasant people to be around. You speak English for the most part. You know, you work for what we would consider low wages. You know, where I'm from, it's $20 an hour is minimum wage.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, and for them, they think that like it's so much, like it was so hard to achieve, but you can.
But in California, you'll be completely broke making $20 an hour. You can't even afford an apartment. You would also be living next to a roof.
I know, again, right? You know? Like, yes, so I was lucky to be here.
It's all perspective. And so if you value your worth and realize in a global economy that making $8 an hour is nothing to somebody who comes from somewhere else, and so that you can make that incremental jump and even live, you know, in a place like this pretty soon. But I'm not going to say it doesn't take work.
Yeah, true.
Persistence and the belief, and you have to be obsessed with improving yourself. Obsession, I think, is a great word.
Yes,
You
yes.
have to be obsessed.
What was the term for in Filipino? We call it whenever you go to places you cannot afford or something, they would tag you as ambiciosa or ambitious. It was a very positive word in English, but for Filipinos, when they say you're ambiciosa, it only means that like you're just ambitious and it's no possible way that you could achieve that.
Right.
Because a lot of people, there's different like two levels of ambiciosa to my perspective. There's ambiciosa wherein you would only want to satisfy the people that were watching you. Compare, like for example, I'll use the excuse of like post something like Starbucks, coffee, whatever on a day-to-day. And of course, in Philippine perspective, that's expensive because that's half of your salary. And compared to the ambiciosa, let's say you go to the lobby, the coffee shop in Shangri-La, not because you wanted to take a photos and post like 10 different posts of you drinking coffee in Shangri-La, but more on like observing what was in there. I think you have to be mindful in order to gain a different perspective. It's not just hard work, but see the perspective of people who already achieved something. Don't use the jealous part of it. It's easy to get jealous about people's lifestyle, but use it as a goal, like a different
Motivation.
perspective. Yeah, but yeah, that's the only I think advice.
Again, how many times have we brought up mentality? It's
Yeah.
just, you get what you think about most of the time. And if you're thinking jealous and they don't deserve it,
Exactly.
and this all the time, that you are going to grow old and just be bitter and
Yeah,
unhappy.
yeah, very true.
And you can also achieve everything and be bitter and unhappy. So try to remember also to keep your kindness.
That's very
And remember
true.
where you came from.
Yeah.
And try and help others, up. You were telling me a story yesterday about you had someone that was working for you.
Yeah, yeah.
And that you were trying to tell them how to, hey, you don't have to do it all yourself. And this is something somebody told to me a long time ago. They said, hey, I want all of these bathrooms clean.
Yeah.
And the person who works said, I just can't do it all.
Yeah.
And the owner said, I never said you had to do it.
Yeah.
I just want all of these bathrooms clean.
Yeah, yeah.
And the light came on. And the employee was like, oh, I can hire other people to
Yeah,
do this.
true.
Right?
True.
And this is similar to the story.
Yeah, yeah. So yesterday, I was a little bit upset with my maid because she wasn't doing really well on some of the Airbnbs.
Just to give perspective, this is for Airbnb.
Yeah, this is not a normal maid. I
Yeah.
do have an Airbnb business, and so I have to remind her that in the Airbnb business, it was the experience that we are selling, and not only that it should look clean, but a lot of people also, let's say, save money to have like a staycation, so we need to give them the full experience wherein if they wanted to take photos in every angle of the property, they could do so. So I have to point that out. And she said, well, if I put in a lot of like the thinking, it would take me a long time to clean the place and do it again. And I said, like, you just have to be like, do you want me to give you a checklist? And I said, like, and then now that I have trained you and I will give you the checklist, you could then hire people from your province, maybe your sister, try to do the cleaning, and then you could get more clients for that. Because what I'm sharing to you is not on how you clean my place, but more on what kind or what quality of service you can provide, that your name would be brought up because you provide a good service. And she just like looked at me and was like, oh. And she kept saying to me, oh.
Yeah.
I was like, exactly.
Yeah.
So
if we could do this for so many people, it would be really helpful.
yeah.
Right? To just say, hey, this is how you do it, and then the light will come on.
Yeah, it's easy to get frustrated, and sometimes because of anger you could get mean, but there's a lot of different ways that you could help other people also. So yeah, that's at least how I feel on any people that at least work with me.
Right. And this is super helpful, not just for you, but for everybody that runs a business like you.
Yeah.
Because you just need it done,
Yeah.
right? The bottom line, and if you're thinking the mentality of through you, right? So say you were a maid that was doing all of your Airbnbs. If you think of the mentality of the person you're working for, what is it they need? And if you can do that to an exceptional level, then you are going to be recommended, you are going to be doing everything for everyone because everybody wants what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and even her, right? It's the same thing. Like even her didn't have this idea because no one have shown her this, or like she didn't get this opportunity or information yet. And that's how I was lucky, I guess, traveling outside the country, because then I was able to adapt it here and made okay business.
Okay. Well, I think that you've just taught me something, because I am going to, at least this is my plan, I want to help at least one or two people get out of the Philippines and show them like you were shown.
Yeah.
So you've inspired me
Yeah, okay.
to do something like that for others.
Oh, that would be a great concept, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And we can maybe even do some sort of work trade where I can find, I don't know, we'll work it out. But
Yeah, I have this experience, to be honest, just a week ago. So, and I think this is a very, very good perspective if you wanted to do that. I was just lucky. A friend of mine was visiting. He was speaking for a conference in Boracay. And then he knows what I do as an executive assistant from the past. And he was like, do you want to support me on this conference? I would pay everything, and then you just have to go with me. And for me, I didn't take it as like I'm not working anymore, like I'm running a business and you want me to work again. But it's more on like, oh my God, I've not had experience to be in this kind of event. I would like to learn more. It's always the hunger of like learning. So I went there, and lo and behold, I met a lot of like good people. I was in touch with one big company and make a good business.
you never know where that's
Exactly.
gonna go.
Just don't close your mind thinking like it's the same as like I would have felt bad knowing that I was the lowest paying person in the company, right?
You can dwell on that.
Yeah.
Or you can dwell on the
Exactly.
Hey, I get to have this
yeah,
experience.
yeah, and then
Right.
you just make everything out of it. And if you think this isn't for you, you try other ways again. But don't stop trying other things just because this didn't work for other people.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say, hey, I'm in the Airbnb business, and then never do anything else,
Yeah.
right? And stop growing. And they say if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah,
And
true.
I think this is very true. You always have to have a goal.
Yeah.
And it's that progressive realization of the goal that is
Yeah.
the fun part.
Yeah.
Once you get to that goal, it's not always, in fact, this is when you make the most mistakes, in my opinion.
Yeah, very true. Because then here comes from being ambitious to now becoming greedy.
Right.
That's why you always
Trying to hold on to what you've got.
Yeah.
Instead of
yeah,
reaching.
that you could step on other people's toe, but that's why you have to stay grounded and be mindful on your surrounding as well. Just be considerate, I guess, to other people too. It doesn't cost you much to be nice.
Yeah. No, and that's one thing you can lose on that journey is your happiness, you being nice. I see this a lot in BGC, and I know a lot of people out there get on me for this, saying, oh, who are you to judge Filipinos for not being happy once they reach BGC? And you're probably right, but I know happiness when I see it, and no amount of money makes a difference. Just because you have money doesn't make you happy. And so when I see people that I can tell are unhappy, no matter how much money they have, it does hurt me a little bit.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I can go to the province and I can see a bunch of kids that have one ball and they are having the
so
best time of their
happy.
entire life.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? And you can see somebody here that drives a Lamborghini and you watch them eating and their face is just balled up and they're unhappy. And I feel sorry. I feel way more sorry for the person with the Lamborghini that's unhappy than I do for that kid, you know,
Yeah.
that has nothing.
Yeah.
That has a family, that have people that love them, right? And so I just hope that we inspire you. I'm not trying to talk down to anybody. I'm not trying to tell anybody they're wrong. You can do nothing with your life. That is not my business. But for those people out there that want to be inspired, I hope that a story of a real Filipina, you know, that started in a call center, that knows where you're coming from, might just help one person.
Yes,
And
yes.
that's
I really hope so, because there's a lot out there, and I just wish they put in the open mind more on the judgment, and don't be scared to try over and over again until they find something that really makes them happy. The reason why I probably thrive on my last job, it's because I didn't feel like it's a work. It's more on like a pastime for me. Every time in the morning, I was just this giddy up, and even my friends would ask me like on a Friday night, "Oh, let's go have a drink." My response was never, "Oh, I have a work," and I felt bad that I wasn't able to join. No, I was happy because this was my goal, and this was my dream. So I'm so protective with my dream, and finally it paid off 5 years later. So.
Right.
Yeah, that's just me as a simple person. Like, you could see me dress up like this, but majority of the time you would see me with shirt and a baggy pants,
Right.
carrying all the laundry. But that's just part of it, you know.
Fixing toilets.
Yeah.
I have seen you.
Exactly.
Just
Climbing off
doing
the.
whatever it takes, get it done.
Yeah.
Right? Because maybe some workers won't do it the way you need it to be done, and so you either have to supervise or do it yourself.
Yeah.
And so I have seen you. You're not just some Chris, you know, like, oh, you do that. You're right there,
Yeah.
doing the work.
Yeah.
So what's next?
I am dreaming of having a property now on a deserted island from the Philippines, away from the hustle and bustle of.
Right. Now that you've lived your dream in BGC,
Yeah,
are you starting to feel like, oh,
Yeah.
I would like, yeah.
And now I'm ready to move along
Right.
with my life. But of course, I think the also reason that I move here, because as a single person, you still needs to date. Like, you couldn't just say like, I wanted to marry or wanted to get to know someone, but then you live on a deserted island. I can't do that yet, not until I found my person that we can live there. If, of course, he is willing to have that kind of life. But yeah.
Right. Well, hopefully you share, common values. You know, travel has got to be important.
Yes, very much important to me. That's
Right.
one of like biggest on the checklist.
Yeah. I could live here for maybe 3 months, but then I would want to, maybe you have a home base. It's okay.
Yes,
It's a very safe home base.
Yes. I think with me having anxiety and stuff, like I always need to have like my own space. No matter I use it or not, I need to have that as a peace of mind, even if I travel. I don't think I can live in a place wherein it's always just my luggage.
All right, well, like I said at the beginning of the video, I really hope you found some inspiration, just one thing out of this that will get you moving and feel like you can do it. I had an absolute blast making this interview. It really opened my eyes to a lot of things that I hadn't thought about. Leave a comment below. Let me know. Kind comment, please, or at least not a terribly mean one, because who needs to deal with that? And of course, like and subscribe, and we will see you for many more videos to come. All right, thank you.